For India, unemployment has been and continues to be a more serious challenge than GDP growth. Right. So when we want to see even this question, see, all these questions actually did not ask for data. That is the idea of the question paper that I gave, right? But yes, you must give some data, right? But these are more like theoretical, questions or concept-based questions that you have to answer, right? For India, unemployment has been and continues to be a more serious challenge, right? I've seen one or two of you have written about jobless growth, right? Yes, this question was basically on jobless growth, right? It's good that somebody has written on jobless growth. So what it says is, India has experienced. Now the problem for us is not having growth, right? We have had excellent growth since 1980s and more magnificent growths in the decade of 2000s, especially 2003 till 2011, 12, right? We have had excellent growth rates, but we have not seen a commensurate increase in the employment opportunities for the country, for the people of this country. Now, on the one hand, why I say this is a more serious problem than growth is growth, uh, you know, uh, growth definitely helps in, not exactly, not definitely, but growth has potential to provide more and more employment opportunities. When you're saying growth, you are actually producing more and more. To produce more and more, you have to obviously employ a lot more people, right? But what's happening in India is that this synchronicity was somehow not happening, right? For some reason, the synchronicity is not happening. Though we have had exceptional growth rates, we did not really see employment increasing to that extent. More serious is the problem that our population, especially population, is increasing at a rapid pace, and the additions to the labor force is huge, right? So we are having huge additions to the labor force. uh, at the same time, we are not increasing employment opportunities, and simultaneously, we are actually having good growth rates, right? So this is a very, very contradictory state, that we are in. It's a very, very confusing state for an economy where, your economy is growing, but, your employment is not increasing. Now, this is exactly why I discussed the manufacturing sector question before. Now, why are we having growth? Why is our growth increasing so much, and why is the employment not increasing? It's primarily because almost 60%, right, 55 to 60% of the growth, the GDP growth in India has been contributed by the services sector, right? And services sector is a capital incentive industry, right? Right. So it does not really provide, as I said, it has a very less elasticity of employment, because of which the employment did not increase. So our growth was exceptional, but the growth has been fueled by the improvements in the services sector. The services sector increase has fueled, and services sector is a sector that does not provide a lot of employment opportunities, because the elasticity of employment is very, very less in services sector. So now, again, we are getting back to the same problem that we can have. So the growth itself that we are getting, when it is not providing employment, it is a serious issue, because employment is needed again to employment is needed to boost growth, because the more people are employed, the more you can produce, right? And when you produce more, you pay people. There is more demand for the commodities. When there is more demand for the commodities, there is more production. So it's that entire cycle that we have to keep in mind, where the point of employment is missing. But the remaining cycle is somehow managing to stay that way, right? So if you do not increase employment, how will you increase, right? How will you sustain whatever growth you have? Because services sector cannot, continuously give growth, right? It cannot give growth permanently, right? There is an there is a saturation point, exhaustion point for the services sector as well, right? Only manufacturing sector is believed to be the sector that can give, that can provide sustained growth for any economy. Right. Now, if your employment, people employed is low, right? There is low purchasing power, there is low level of living standards in the country. You will not be able to meet your development targets, right? So there is a whole gamut of problems that comes with unemployment, right? So for Indian economy in specific, unemployment has been a serious issue. Growth we are somehow able to achieve, we are somehow able to manage because using because of the performance of other sector, but we are not able to provide employment to the labor force that is adding every year, right? So this is the argument that you can provide when you talk about this question, right? And you can provide some data that the growth, especially in 2000, for after 1990s, at least 1990s onwards, the growth has been remarkable. That we have had extraordinary growth rates of which clocked 10% in some, nearly 10% in some years, right? But the unemployment rates also kept increasing, right? You can even quote that recent data, the controversial data that the government tried to suppress. That the unemployment rate has been at its 45-year high, right? So this kind of data you can quote, and you can give two or three figures of how unemployment has increased when the growth, unemployment has increased when the growth also experienced a rise. Right. Now that is how you answer that question. So basically, these are the questions that talked about. Why I said the question paper easy is because when we see these questions, if we do not really understand economics, we might find these very very difficult, right? But when we frame a picture in our mind, right, you can actually answer. You cannot really answer too much, because from this area maybe one or two questions might end up, if they are factual questions like how do you measure human development index, or the questions that I'm going to discuss from now on, right? You have If you read through it, you would definitely write it down in the answer sheet. If you did not read, you will definitely write it in general. But these questions that I've discussed so far are more of analytical questions which you keep reading through in the newspapers. Right. All these questions I have actually taken from articles in the newspapers in the last 1 year. Right. Whatever somebody has expressed, especially in the Hindu, whatever somebody has expressed in their editorials or opinion op-ed page, right? I have taken these questions, and one or two questions I have also taken from EPW, uh, 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 from economists like Pulatra Balakrishnan and Arvind Subramanian, right? So, but what I try to say is it's always good that you keep reading the editorials. The other pages might be good for prelims, but editorial is a compulsory one for your mains, and you can answer these questions mostly by reading editorials.